Yeah, what's going on for me at present is that, I'm a little disgruntled. Um, but not to the point where, I feel like I'm cheating others or I want revenge or anything along those lines. It's just being tired, and tired of the voices in my head. Um, it's not too often that I acknowledge that it's just a hallucination. Part of me wants to believe that it's, um, you know, that this delusion or this hallucination has some sort of relativity in the sense that, it could be something from the future, so to speak. Last night I had a really strong connection with I don't know how to describe it. You know, it's difficult to explain in the sense that, I felt I had a connection last night with, what I refer to as a human futura, and it was the first time that I'd made that connection. The voices in my head always refer to Dave, um, and I learnt some time ago that, or I detached from that some time ago and thought that it was, they were referencing another party, but I couldn't make out who it was, so to speak. I had some theories in regards to that, but last night it sort of came together, and just an individual I came across randomly. It was pointed out to me there were two individuals seated in a cafe at Paraphernalia in Horsham, Victoria. One man was extremely large or tall and of medium build. He had a shaved head, and ever since then, I've thought, that he may have been what is referred to as human futura. Last night I got a sense that I was connected to this particular individual. I had some barbaric thoughts flow through my head, and I thought he was acting them out in a room somewhere, where there are other individuals who, had this uh, capacity as well. Other people with mental health issues, that he was trying to be supportive of, because I believe that, these individuals can manage distortion, a lot better than what the average human being can. And in some way, they're conduits, this is the, 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 the belief, this is the delusion that I don't speak about too often, because I think it's highly sensitive and part of a government conspiracy, an international one, and I yeah, and I guess for me, I took it as a sign of closure, because I thought, if I, you know, please these particular individuals, then I'd win the lottery. But reality is, all I've learned is that I am a sick person, not a bad person, a sick person trying to get well. So um, um, yeah, like I mentioned, I didn't win the lottery. It's a hallucination. I get fragments of voices and silhouettes in my mind, especially when I am isolated and in the company of just myself. I don't know if they're hypnagogic hallucinations or not, but I do experience those kinds of interactions whilst I am uh, or I do experience that kind of phenomena even when I'm awake, and generally in my own inner realm, you know, um, so I'm incredibly vulnerable um, to distortion. Uh, like I mentioned, I can place, I'll trace this back to my early childhood experiences, and I get some idea of what I'm trying to regenerate in the sense of affect. It's all about glory. And thanks Jules for commenting. Because it is for me about glory. It's something that I interjected from my mother as a child. She didn't have the capacity to emotionally emotionally regulate herself. She had very labile moods, and for me, that's what I interjected. So I can't distinguish between having fun, pursuing glory, and being happy. I generally just get elated, and I become fixated on a certain result. So the rest of the time, I guess feelings are like sitting down to have a cup of tea. You can speak about them in a general sense, but for me, I am obsessed with the exceptional and the extraordinary. And it's it's fiction. You fictitious in the sense that I want to circulate in a current. That it's like winning the grand final of a major competition. That surreal affect. If anything doesn't measure up to that, I perceive it as dull, glum, and boring, and kind of dry. So I guess another reason why this activity occurs is that generally when I isolate, I relax, the tinnitus in my ears starts to ring. I find that tedious, dull, droll, glum, and boring. So I become creative. And my creative side just, uh, becomes very grandiose. My imagination fires up, and the next minute, I've convinced myself that, I am back in, this international conspiracy. So another revelation I had was that, I'm not so much scared of dying today. I'm scared of how I'll die. So it's all well and good. Um, but that's another rant. It's, I guess I'm moving out of the acute phase now, and after 12 years, and I'm moving into recovery mode. So the obsession that one day I'll be a high flyer, I'm slowly letting go of that and realizing, that it is just distortion and, delusional, and that, a lot of my delusional thinking pertains to a 4.5-year-old boy that never really had the access to anyone with a competent, uh, a certain degree of competency, to speak about my innermost thoughts and feelings. I had a very abusive and neglectful childhood or neglected childhood. So yeah, all well and good. I don't feel sorry for myself today, but it was a relief. I felt better after making the decision to let go of gambling. I deleted all my apps. I unsubscribed from a website, and also unsubscribed from a few other channels that were playing games. So yeah, all's well and good.